We are halfway through the first round of the NHL playoffs, and it's safe to say it's getting the best of some teams. The grind for the Stanley Cup has brought the emotions to another level this week, so let's cover everything that happened from where we left off. Tuesday, goaltending clinic. We had 4 matchups on Tuesday, all Game 2s, starting with the Battle of Florida. The Panthers dictated the play early in this game as goals from Sam Bennett and Vladimir Tarasenko put the Panthers up 2-0 after the first. However, in the second period, we would witness a goaltending clinic. After Tampa gets 2 of their own, including this vintage clapper from Stammer himself, Sergei Bobrovsky just completely locked in. The guy was dialed, taking Stammer clappers to the face. He was tracking the puck extremely well, but this save here is simply unbelievable. The puck squeaks across the goal mouth, Matt Dumba has a wide open net, and this sick puppy Bobrovsky goes full on 90s Hasek and sticks out his left arm as he's falling back to make this save without even looking. Absolutely sickening save, and as a shooter, I feel incredibly ill. Then as the Panthers look to respond, the puck is tipped from the point and Vasilevsky kicks out his leg last second and makes 2 more consecutive saves point blank to keep this game tied. For the next 25 minutes of this game, both Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky made shooters hate their lives as they stopped anything and everything that came their way. This game would require overtime, and it would be none other than Carter Verhaeghe with the patience of a monk on his backhand to go Roof Daddy-O Jr. and win it for Florida in OT. Verhaeghe is becoming Mr. Clutch himself as he moves 5th all-time in OT playoff goals while gifting Florida a 2-0 series lead. Next up, we had the Rangers versus the Anomalies, and this game was a special teams debacle. After Connor McMichael opened the scoring, Vinny Trocheck tied the game 8 minutes into regulation with a beautiful redirection. Every goal that came after was scored on either the power play or shorthanded. Jack Roslovic goes top bunk where Mama hides the cookies to give the Rangers a 3-2 lead, and then the Caps would get a power play of their own to try and tie the game. On the regroup, the puck comes over to Ovechkin, he lets it bounce off the wall, and Zibanejad swoops in for the steal to catch Ovi by surprise. The Rangers get a dagger shorthanded, and the Caps could never recover despite getting 1 late on the power play. This game and series is getting a bit greasy as well, as you got this hit by Panarin on Oshie, which took him out for a little bit of the game, and then you get Tom Wilson getting nut tapped on the face-off by Will Cully. Still, the concern is Alex Ovechkin, just 1 shot in 2 games, and afterwards, Caps coach Spencer Carberry admitted that Ovi was struggling a bit. The playoffs reach another gear, and for 38-year-old Ovechkin, he's having trouble keeping up, and it's hurting the Caps. After the circus Game 1 we had between the Jets and the Avs, we got a more reserved Game 2. All eyes were on Alex Georgiev as he had an all-time brutal Game 1, and it looked like it may have been the same story early in Game 2. The Jets are so good at supporting each other on the puck. They go low to high, throw on net with traffic, and Gustafsson bangs home the rebound to make it 1-0 Winnipeg. But as the game went on, Georgiev visibly looked more confident and calm in his net. Colorado would tie the game up at 1, but look at this play by Vilardi and Scheifele. Vilardi just perfectly places this behind the Avs defender, and while being tied up, Scheifele one-hands this bad boy into the net. After this point, it looked like the speed of the Avs gave the Jets all kinds of trouble. McKinnon, Makar, and Taves worked their magic off the rush to tie the game up once again, and then a great forecheck by Trennan catches Hellebuck by surprise as he gets caught with his pants down out of the net. The backbreaker for the Jets came in the dying seconds of the second period as McKinnon waits for Manson out of the box, feeds him on a breakaway, and he goes between the legs to make it a 4-2 game. From there, the entire third period was the Jets trying to play catch-up, but both the Avs and Georgiev held the fort. Avs tie the series up at 1, and they go back home where they have the best record in the league. All eyes have been on the play of Georgiev in this series. However, Hellebuck has let in more goals through 2 games. If the Jets want to go on a deep run, Hellebuck must be better. Then we had Game 2 between the Canucks and the Predators, and Canucks fans were met with pain before puck drop as it was announced that Thatcher Demko would be week to week with an injury. That is a massive blow that can change the entire complexion of the series, but you still got to find a way to deal with it. Canucks fans showed their support for backup Casey DeSmith by chanting Casey early in the game, and mid-chant, the Preds score the first of the game. Tough look. Nashville then did a great job of being opportunistic on Vancouver's mistakes. First, the Canucks get hung up on the wall, and Forsberg takes it to the net and goes backhand, forehand, roof to make it 2-0 Preds. Then Elias Pettersson had a really tough shift as he hooks this puck into the middle thinking he has support. It's turned over, and then he gets beat to the net by his man, who knocks home the rebound. It was a tough night overall for Pettersson, who missed a wide open net and just looked like he was second guessing himself on every decision. Despite that, Vancouver peppered Nashville, but they blocked everything. Vancouver had 84 shot attempts at the net, and only 18 of them actually made it on goal. The Preds players had a part-time job being a wall in this one, and they sacrificed everything to get in front of pucks. Nashville takes Game 2 after registering only 15 shots. With Thatcher Demko likely out for most or all of this series, Nashville has a real chance of taking advantage. Before we continue with the rest of the video, I want to thank Underdog Fantasy for being today's sponsor. Fellas, the NHL playoffs are here, and Underdog Fantasy wants to add to the fun. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like goals, shots, goalie saves, and so much more. You can make entries of all NHL picks or mix and match across your other favorite sports to win up to 100 times your money. Underdog is available in 30 plus states, including California, Texas, and even Canada, excluding Ontario. Here are my picks for Sunday's games. The Oilers and the Avalanche's offense are rolling, so we're going with the big dogs there to hit the higher. New customers compare those picks with Austin Matthews recording 1 shot or higher to win that selection. Pick'em is the easiest way to make money on Underdog, so make sure you click the link in the description below or scan the QR code to sign up with code HockeyPsych, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Wednesday, the Rat. Game 3 between the Leafs and Boston, and we were there to see the Cup Parade live. Waldo Willie was still out for this one. It was actually reported that he was suffering from migraines, which is terrible news, but Toronto has to find a way to win without him. Meanwhile, Mitch Marner is absolutely eating punches from the media by being labeled the Invisible Man in the Toronto Sun. The pressure is cooking in Toronto, and the media isn't afraid to add to it. This one was tied at 0 until halfway through the second, where Mitch Marner himself would set up Matthew Knies with a gorgeous pass to make it a 1-0 game. Then we got into the theatrics of Bruins and Leafs hockey. In the middle of the ice, Bertuzzi and Marchand start going at it, and Marchand chops down Bertuzzi with no call. While that is all happening, Trent Frederick throws a floater on net, and it somehow goes in. Leaf fans are furious that there's no call. I'm furious because I'm sitting with the suits, and somehow the Leafs find themselves in a tied game. With Toronto taking a late penalty at the end of the second, Boston would capitalize early in the third, and special teams remain a huge problem for Toronto. In typical Leafs fashion, they go on to tie the game, only to let Brad Marchand score 15 seconds later for the game winner. There were a lot of Leaf fans crying about officiating, but you don't get that luxury when your power play goes 0 for 5. Bruins take Game 3, Marchand has a legacy game, and Leaf Nation is once again in shambles. Next up, we had Game 2 of the Kings and Oilers, and after letting McJesus put up 5 assists in Game 1, the Kings needed to come out of the gate hot. They did exactly that, as Adrian Kempe had a baller of a first period. First, he pots a gorgeous snipe, and then he gets this ridiculous redirection out of the air to beat Stuart Skinner. Now, if the Kings want any chance in this series, they'd have to do a lot better at defending the Oilers' rush. From a volume standpoint, the Kings did a better job than in Game 1, but still, 3 out of the 4 Oilers goals came off the rush. Tied at 4, this game would require OT, where Anze Kopitar would get a fast break and snipe one glove side to send Oilers fans home with tears. We officially got a series, as this one heads back to LA tied at 1. Tuesday would end with the Vegas Injured Reserves against the Dallas Stars. We were getting a conference final matchup here in the first round, and it showed with the level of intensity in this game. Jason Robertson got the first goal of the game on the power play as he goes 5-0 with Jamie Benn throwing a perfect screen on Logan Thompson. Shortly after, Jack Eichel gets a stretch pass. He uses his entire body to draw the defender and goalie to his side, and then leaves a perfect pass over to last year's Conn Smythe winner and Jonathan Marchessault. Vegas ties the game up, and if those two play like they did in last year's Cup run, it's going to be trouble for everyone. Jake Ottinger was absolutely brilliant in this one as well. He made some massive saves for Dallas to keep them in it, but this Noah Hannafin wrister would be the game-winning goal, and Vegas takes both games on the road for a 2-0 series lead. The villains of the NHL are living up to their name, and now the Stars have to win 4 of 5 against the defending Cup champs. Thursday, on the brink. With the Panthers up 2-0 in this series, this game is pretty much a must-win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa hasn't had a lead at any point during this series, and it would be more of the same as Matthew Tkachuk would bury the first of the game. The first period ended with Florida up 1-0, but Tampa came out of the gate swinging as it's their captain Stammer time, leading by example to tie the game. Someone get this man a contract. The boys seemed fired up by that as Tyler Mott would score 2 minutes later to give Tampa their first lead of the series. But this Florida team is just wired different, and they scored 3 straight to put Tampa on the ropes. A late goal from Nick Paul would pull Tampa within 1, but Matthew Tkachuk once again with the dagger, and Florida takes a commanding 3-0 series lead. Personally, I've thought Tampa's best player has been their captain, Steven Stamkos, so far. He's playing goalie on the empty net, he's laying it all on the line, he's scoring goals, and right now it seems like he's the only one going for Tampa. Kucherov was 50% of Tampa's offense coming into the playoffs, and Florida has done a marvelous job at giving him zero space to create offense. It's not impossible for Tampa to come back, but it's damn near close. Meanwhile, the Hurricanes look to bring the Islanders to the brink, and the big news here was that Patrick Waugh was starting Ilya Sorokin over Semyon Varlamov. Looking to switch things up after the collapse in Game 2, the Islanders needed to be perfect in this one. So, naturally, they fell behind 2 goals to start the game. Later, with New York trailing by just 1, a shot from Sebastian Aho from range would beat Sorokin clean. That was enough for the Hall of Famer Patrick Waugh to pull Sorokin from the game. He lets in 3 goals on 14 shots, and that type of goal was a backbreaker to let in when trying to claw back into the game. Despite the Isles having Brock the Rock Nelson to bang home a rebound and cut the lead to 1, the Hurricanes still have Mr. Anderson. He was unbelievable in this game, stopping 29 of 31 shots, and for some reason, this guy just loves making saves on his ass as he absolutely robs Romanov with a glove save to keep the puck out of the net. Fred X, same day delivery, keep the change and the game puck because he backstops the Hurricanes to their 3rd straight win, and they push the Islanders to the brink of elimination as well. Friday, blowout frustration. Unfortunately for the Anomalies, it looks like their magic may finally be coming to an end. It seems like at every turn, the Rangers are just a flat-out better team. That shouldn't surprise anyone, but the Caps actually had a good start getting the first goal of the game, but then Chris Kreider would score immediately after to just suck the wind out of the sails for the Caps. Add in a shorty by the Rangers with Ovi giving his best impression of playing defense, and the Rangers just squashed any momentum that the Caps would have. Matt Rempe was also looking for blood with this hit on Trevor Van Riemsdyk. He catches him a bit late and smokes him to get called for interference. Eventually, that draws the attention of Tom Wilson. Rempe would choose to politely pass and decline to drop the gloves. Special teams is once again a factor in this series as Trocheck buries on the power play to make it 3-1, while the Caps finish the game 0 for 6 on the power play. Shesterkin looks like he's in top form, the Rangers seem like a well-oiled machine, and they take a demanding 3-0 series lead. Meanwhile, the Canucks have to get used to life without Thatcher Demko. So, Casey DeSmith will have to be the temporary savior. The Nashville crowd was absolutely buzzing, and early on, the Preds' pressure was giving the Canucks trouble, but look at this play by Michael McCarron. My guy doesn't even try to avoid DeSmith, he full-on trucks him. You can't do that. Get in the box, pal. It may be the dumbest penalty of the playoffs as JT Miller makes him pay with a goal on the power play. Despite Nashville carrying the play, Vancouver would get another power play goal in the second, and then they just hung on for dear life. The Preds would pepper the Canucks by outshooting them 30-12. The last minute was a full-on panic attack if you're a Vancouver fan, but they somehow find a way to take Game 3. The Canucks' 12 shots was 2 off the NHL record for fewest in a playoff win, but they don't ask how, and the Canucks will gladly take the dub. Meanwhile, the Winnipeg Jets have to find a way to win Game 3 against the best team at home in the NHL this season. Right now, I think Winnipeg is on fraud watch, as for the second game in a row, they held a 2-1 lead and let a flurry of Colorado pressure completely derail the game for them. Alex Georgiev was a worry coming into this series, but in games 2 and 3, he's actually looked solid, and the way that this Avs team can score in bunches makes them one of the most dangerous teams in the playoffs. Hellebuck played great for 2 periods, but once Winnipeg got into penalty trouble in the third and the Avs top guys got to cook, the wheels just completely fell off. Tempers flared at the end of the game, guys dropped the gloves for one more go, but the Avs take the second game in a row by a large margin. The LA Kings are also facing blowout frustration as they're still finding ways to get their ass handed to them by the Oilers. Edmonton was absolutely humming in this game. Zach Hyman got 2 goals. He just dominates in the mixer in front of the net and now leads the playoffs in scoring. Meanwhile, Draisaitl and McDavid continue to torment and toy with the Kings as they both had another 3-point game. The Kings were pretty much never in this one, and it turned into a circus because of it. There were 92 penalty minutes in total, as there was a lot of message sending as the game winded down. Edmonton wins 6-1, and they take a 2-1 series lead. Saturday, Maple Leaf meltdown. The Brooms were out in full force on Saturday as we could have had 2 series ending in a potential sweep. First up is the Hurricanes and the Islanders. Right away, it's the Islanders' Achilles heel that cost them the first goal of the game. The league's worst penalty kill gives up a Seth Jarvis goal, and the Islanders are forced to chase the game right away. However, Matthew Barzal chose a good time to have his best game of the playoffs. The guy is a possession machine in the O-zone when he gets going, and on the first goal, his twinkle toes gets to work. He shakes off Shea with a cutback and whips one into the net to tie the game. Both teams get a power play goal in the third, and with this all tied up, it would be the first game of the NHL playoffs that would actually require double overtime. 2 minutes in, the Mafia man himself, Robert Bortuzzo, takes a clapper. It goes off of Matty Barzal, and that is his second of the game, and the Islanders stay alive to fight another day. Cancel the flights to Cancun because Tuesday, they got a flight to Raleigh for Game 5. Now, don't stuff your broom in the closet just yet because the Florida Panthers had the opportunity to also sweep the Lightning. Tampa's coach John Cooper said after Game 3 that he only wants believers to show up to the rink, and so Tampa was determined to come out guns blazing. Of course, Captain Stammertime leads the charge and leans into this 1T on the power play to start a barrage of Tampa goals. Hagel would get a shorty, and 3 minutes later, Braden Point with a slick wraparound makes it 3-zip Lightning. Halfway through the second, Tampa held a 4-1 lead, but Florida scores 2 quick ones before the end of the period to make the Lightning and their fans feel just a little bit queasy. Just when it looked like the Panthers were going to complete a comeback, it's Stamkos yet again with his 5th of the playoffs. Tampa would get one more on the power play, and they take Game 4 by a score of 6-3. Everyone, put your brooms away, cancel the flights to Punta Cana because we got a Game 5 on Monday night. Now, if there's one team that looks like they're dying to be on vacation, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. The game started in the most Leafy way possible as ex-Leaf James Van Riemsdyk scored for the first time since February to give Boston a 1-goal lead. Then we witnessed this Leaf team completely implode. Boston did a masterful job at forcing Toronto to the perimeter and basically giving Jeremy Swayman the easiest 2 periods of his life. To add to the fun, the Rat himself scores a power play goal to make it 2-0, and at this point, social media is losing it on Mitch Marner, and the Leafs superstars start to show their frustration with each other on the bench. Now, I'm no John Boy lip reader, but it looks like Nylander was saying, "Stop fucking crying, bro. This isn't Junior" to Mitch Marner. And Marner starts slamming his gloves on the bench, and things are a complete disaster in Leafland. The chef's kiss to all this, though, is a last-minute goal by Boston to make it 3-0, and the Leaf fans were so disgusted that they booed them off the ice. Of course, the lone goal the Leafs would score in this one would be by Mitch Marner, and funny enough, it looked like a goal that Mitch Marner would score in junior. Leafs fall short 3-1. Austin Matthews missed the third period due to illness, and it's only fitting that the Bruins have a chance to put the final dagger in this core. We'll know if it's official next week, but right now, the parade is canceled. The late night show featured Game 3 of Vegas and Dallas. Despite Dallas playing some solid hockey, they enter this game down 0-2, desperate for a win. The only issue is this mutant, Logan Thompson. Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky kicked off this video with sickening goaltending, and Logan Thompson is finishing it. Dallas made it 2-0 early, and they would have a handful of glorious chances to add on to that lead, but Thompson was a wall. He ruins Thomas Harley's night with the ridiculous glove stop, and despite Dallas outchancing Vegas again in this one, Thompson would stand on his head. Vegas, being the opportunistic bastards that they are, tie this game up and force overtime. However, great teams stick to their process, and even though the Stars were getting robbed, Wyatt Johnson is the hero in this one by going top bunk for the game winner, and Dallas is back in this series. This one has all the makings to go the distance, and I can't wait. So, what surprised you in these NHL playoffs so far? What's pissed you off? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you want deeper breakdowns on players and specific series throughout the week, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on notifications.